Hello, my most amazing artist. Today we are going to be working on the rainbow fish part of our rainbow fish project. So, you will need a tracer and a pencil and a piece of colorful paper to start. All you're going to do is take your tracer, make sure it's on your paper fully, there's no parts that are hanging off. Hold it down with your hand and then trace around the edges with your pencil. And remember, when we trace, if we go onto the tracer or get away from the edge a little bit, we just stop and get back to that edge of the tracer so that we're tracing the shape of the tracer. Our pencil is right up against the edge, not floating out here somewhere, not on top of the tracer. When you pull it away, you should have the same exact shape as your tracer. Now, we are going to make our fish look like a fish and not just an outline. You can start by giving him a face area, then give him an eyeball. I like big, wide fish eyeballs. Give him a little bit of a mouth and gills so he can breathe. Now, I'm gonna start with the scales. I don't want my scales to go into his top fin, so I'm gonna finish that line there. And I don't want it in his bottom fins either, so I'm gonna finish that line there. And I'm gonna finish a line here because I want his tail to be separate. And now, you just do bumps. And I want them pretty big because we are tracing them later with our bingo dauber. So we need to make them big enough so that they don't all mush together. So now, as you can see, I drew 4 bumps right up against his face. And the next bumps I do, I'm going to do in between. So from one top of a bump to another top of a bump, and then keep it going from one top of a bump to another top of a bump. And this makes sure that they're not lined up. Now the ones that just run off the fish, you're only gonna see a little bit of those, and they go right to the edge, and then we can start again. From one top of a bump, this one's gonna run off the fish, one top of a bump to another top of a bump, one top of a bump to another top of a bump. And these bumps that we are drawing are called scales. Fish have scales. Now I want that bump to fit. This one's gonna run off and back on a little bit. And I think that looks good. I'm gonna give him something to see out of. It's what we call the pupil. And I'm not gonna add any other lines because all the lines I draw now are lines I'm going to trace with my bingo dauber. So I want my tail decorations and my fin decorations to be in crayon, be nice and colorful. So I'm not gonna add these lines because I don't want them to be black. Now you're gonna take your bingo dauber, and remember, we do not squeeze. They're starting to get a little used, so if there's stuff on the top that you need to get rid of, go ahead and do that. Don't squeeze it, we just hold it straight up and down and trace over our pencil lines, exactly on top of the pencil lines. We do not color in with the bingo dauber. Now, artists, remember that if we go off the line a little bit, like I did right here, we're not gonna go back and try to make the bingo dauber go on top of that line. We're just gonna let it go, and we're gonna erase the pencil line, because if I went back with the bingo dauber and traced that again, this black line would get very, very thick, and we don't want that. We want it just as thick as it is right now. So instead of going back and trying to trace the line that you might have missed a little bit, we're just gonna use an eraser there. Okay, boys and girls, that is my tracing of the rainbow fish. Now, you are going to use construction paper crayons to color your fish. Construction paper crayons are the ones that have the black label, and they also say construction paper crayons on the front. Okay, boys and girls, so all of the ones with the black labels are good to go, and they will show up very brightly on your paper. So all you have to do is don't try to color on the black lines. If you get it on there a little bit, that is fine. But we're trying to stay off the black lines and just on the colorful part of our paper. Now what I like to do is I like to go push very hard around the outside, and then pick up my hand and push a little lighter as I come in. That makes it so that the outside of the scale is very dark and the middle is a little lighter, and you can see some of the background paper color showing through. That is how I did his scales on this one. So if that's the look you're going for, that's what you have to do. Push a little harder as you're going around the outside, and then as you go in, a very light touch. Okay, boys and girls, you go ahead and get decorating. I know that you're gonna make some amazing fish.